Hello, everybody, and welcome to another SIG Windows meeting. It's the 15th of December, and this is our last meeting for the year. So quick reminder here that we will not meet for the next 2 Tuesdays, giving everybody some time to decompress after 1.20 shipped, giving you time to spend time with families and have a great holiday season. And then we'll start again at the beginning of next year. So we have a packed agenda today, so let's get started. First one is Mark with an update on the Docker shim depreciation and the discussion that was happening last week with SIG Node.
Yeah, so there was kind of a lot of activity and excitement around the Docker shim deprecation notice, and that's largely been focused on Linux, but there's been a couple folks that have been wondering what this means for Windows because Docker or Containerd support is a lot newer for Windows. I've met with a couple people from GKE before, and we discussed a little bit at the SIG Node meeting last week. And I think everybody is kind of on the same page here, where most of the people involved or want to see the value and want to continue moving forward with Containerd support for Windows and deprecating Docker. One of the big concerns that we all have, though, is there's not a lot of there's no really big deployments in any of the major cloud providers or like anywhere of note with Windows nodes running with Containerd. And so that was a bit of a concern for folks. We have a lot of different test grid passes that are showing that Containerd with Windows is stable. So we have some confidence there. And so we were kind of discussing what the different options were for doing that, because I believe as it's scheduled, the Docker shim, I think that within 121, they're planning on having a flag and having the Docker shim code not be compiled into the kubelet in 121 or 122. SIG Node was very kind of sympathetic to this, and they understand that this is new for Windows, and they don't want to kind of put any. They don't want to add any more friction here. So one of the things that Don Chen, one of the SIG Node co-chairs, proposed was that depending on the timelines of when different either cloud providers or large deployments can validate, get some extra validation with Windows and Containerd deployments. SIG Node is open to leaving in the Docker shim builds for Windows builds only for a couple more releases until things kind of stabilize, or until there's enough momentum around Containerd deployments that everybody's kind of confident around this. The other option that was discussed is there was a little bit of a kind of momentum around Mirantis adopting this CRI Docker or CRI Docker shim. And I think everybody agreed that for Windows, that's probably not the best option, because it would just be, there'd be a lot of effort needed to validate everything with Windows. And we agreed that that effort would be better spent in just focusing on getting Containerd tested and validated everywhere. So there's no kind of set timeline for any of this. It's mostly just we'll wait and see when when people start adopting Containerd for Windows, and then just take it from there. But I think that's a pretty good solution, is to keep the Docker shim code in the kubelet and only building for Windows if needed.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense, Mark. That's probably the best path forward. Give enough time to Containerd to bake now that it's GA. Let public cloud providers and others to start putting it to test, paddle test it, and then as when we feel comfortable and everybody feels comfortable this is stable, then we can start the deprecation. So whether that's 3 months from now or 6 months from now, that's great that we actually have the option now. Thank you for driving that effort too, by the way.
Yep, no problem.
And just a reminder, I think we shouldn't take that as a signal that we should, just continue sitting on Docker. We should continue moving towards Containerd and trying it out. Right, Mark? Like, this is by no means like an encouragement to stay on Docker. This is just like, you have a little bit more time, so don't panic, but you should continue thinking about it.
Correct.
So Miles, one thing that could help us here is basically since you're the primary PM that's driving a lot of the Containerd work, is maybe come up with a plan with Google and AWS and obviously Azure on when they're gonna roll out Containerd in production on Windows for the Windows distributions, and we can actually start following that path closely.
Yeah, actually, this week we already are in discussion with AWS. I need to start. I can probably ask Peter or others to think about. I'll start that. So the major distros. I think that's a good question. I'll definitely follow up on that.
Yeah, and I know that for Azure, we plan on doing a public preview with Containerd for Windows node pools, and I believe GKE does too. I don't think we can say anything about timelines for that, but hopefully it'll be kind of early in 2021.
So do you know when Azure will have the public preview?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, I'll say soon.
Yeah, I'd say hopefully early 2021 is.
Sounds good. Cool. All right, Aravind, update on Windows CAPI discussion.
Oh yeah, sure. I can give you an update. But before I move to that, I just have one question for Mark about the Containerd work. Mark, do we need any changes in like the CNI plugins if we want to support Containerd? There is some work, right?
There shouldn't be many changes in the CNI plugins. I'll comment and I'll defer to David Schott and Jocelyn on here. The one difference is though, if you want to use Containerd, the CNI confs, they normally delegate out to a WinBridge or WinOverlay executables, depending on what networking mode you have. There is another set of binaries, SDN bridge and SDN overlay, that are needed for Containerd support. And there's in the, I believe the Microsoft Windows Container Networking repositories, that's where those binaries get built out of. And there are example CNI config files using those for a couple different CNIs, including Flannel, that we can link to.
Mark, I know for sure that Antrea will need changes. So there are some CNIs that will require changes here.
Mark, it'll help if you can just throw a link in the agenda, and I can take it from there. Awesome, thank you. So going back to the update on the CAPI discussion, so we had I think a fruitful discussion with the CAPI folks. There seems to be a couple of approaches for enabling Windows workers on clusters. One is of course using kubeadm, and the other is what Red Hat is doing, is by following this operator model. So the brief takeaway, the TLDR version, is CAPI wants to be able to support both approaches. So what I've taken as an action item is for Red Hat, our CAPI team here, to sort of rework the PR they have opened, and if needed, even open up a proposal just describing what we're trying to do and how it fits in, such that both the approaches will fit as long as both teams are continue using the same cluster API, and folks don't need to carry downstream patches and things like that. So that's the big gist of the change, and I'm working with the Red Hat team here to make that happen. So that's the update for me.
Thank you, Aravind. Any comments or concerns or any questions for Aravind?
So I'll just throw in the Windows support via the kubeadm component. We've got the tests passing, so if anybody's interested in seeing how that works, please take a look and comment on the PR. It's probably be reviewed this week and merge for CAPC sometime in the next week or two. So take a look if you're interested.
Very cool, thank you. All right, the next topic is, we've had a few folks that have made significant contributions over time on Windows, and we have a few folks that are just starting up, and we're trying to put them full-time on Windows, and they're starting to ramp up and make significant contributions as well. And Mark and I were talking, and we're thinking of expanding the number of tech leads on Windows. Today we have 2 technical leads, and that's Deep DeBroy from Docker, that's heading a lot of our storage and CSI efforts. And then we also have Ben Moss, who hasn't been as involved as of late, and we'll kind of gauge his willingness to continue to put in more time on Windows and the Kubernetes effort here. So we wanted to propose 2 additional tech leads to kind of help us kind of increase the number of approvers and reviewers, as well as make sure that folks that have been significantly contributing to our efforts are recognized and have a technical leadership role in our community. Without further ado, we'll start with the first one, and everybody here has an opportunity to either tell us, we're not gonna make the decision right now, but we can make it in the next couple of days. If you have any concerns with any of the nominations, or you wanna provide some private feedback, feel free to provide that to Mark and I privately on Slack if you don't wanna voice any concerns here. The first nomination is James. So James has been shepherding a tremendous amount of our effort around the SIG Windows tools. James has been instrumental in some of our efforts around cluster API and overall our automation, as well as being a great Kubernetes citizen and a great ambassador for our work here. So we would like to nominate James to be the first additional tech lead. Do we have any, use the Slack thumbs up or thumbs down if you like, or unmute yourself and voice your approval to this nomination.
Yeah, I agree.
Plus one for sure. James has helped me a lot ramping up on stuff.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely.
Yeah, great news.
All right, so we're seeing that James is getting some thumbs up here, so so that's great. And the second nomination is Jay Vass from VMware. So Jay has been kind of shepherding a lot of the folks from VMware that are contributing upstream on cluster API on Windows, looking into the CSI support for vSphere now, as well as the image builder work and kind of wrangling up the troops that are pushing that effort forward. So can we see the nominations here for Jay? Thumbs up or otherwise?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
And
so,
I'd like to add that, yeah, both Jay and James, I think, have been doing a fantastic job with helping with docs and, just helping make it so newcomers can contribute to SIG Windows.
Absolutely. So we'll leave this open for a couple of days. If we don't hear any concerns from the community, then we'll start moving forward and making it official, probably with the beginning of next year. But congratulations, James and Jay. Maybe the next person needs to start with a J as well. So I'm just kidding, but congratulations. This is well deserved. Thank you for your contribution so far, and we look forward to many more contributions in the community.
Sure, I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure we give credit where it's due. A lot of the stuff, or almost all the stuff that I've done, has been piggybacked on top of Perry's hard work as well. So Perry, once we get you more involved in upstream, maybe you can join us in this circle as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's awesome to see so many people getting involved in the last few months. So thank you.
Excellent. All right. So the next topic is device plugin API, the GPU support. That has been the PR that has been kind of sitting there for a while. Like if you remember back when we added this item here for the future, once 121.3 is open, we need to merge these PRs, the 948 and the 285. It's time now. Tomakos added it to our agenda today. I think that PR needs to be. I think the only thing that it might need is to be. It needs a remap, right? A rebase. Is there anything else that might need? As far as I know, and Mark, you correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're able to validate the test, even though we were not sure if the test covered comprehensively across the board everything that we needed. But the only reason why we didn't merge it back then is because we were not sure of the risks. But now if we merge it early, we'll be able to assess that risk earlier. Is that accurate, Mark?
Yeah, kind of near the end of the 120 development, we've got some tests that are running on GPU enabled nodes in Azure, and we were able to, or just provide a lot more validation. And I think we've actually identified the reasons why we were seeing like different device IDs and everything there too. So I think it's ready to merge, and that's probably going to be one that we're going to want to push through really soon, or really early in 121 once everything opens up.
Yep. So we'll ask them to rebase. We'll ask them to make sure, since the tests are passing, let's after the rebase, let's make sure we get another green run of the test, and then it can be merged. All right, Maz, you want to do the triage now?
Yes, sounds good.
Let me-
So just quick, yeah. So while Amber and I and Mark and James, I think a lot of folks were going to the SIG networking meeting for privileged containers. The one thing I really liked is in their like SIG networking biweekly sync, they take like 5 minutes and go over something they call issue triage, where they look at they filter down just to the SIG networking issues that we could do for SIG Windows. And only the new issues, and they don't actually go and try to like get to the root cause. They're just saying, hey, can somebody take a look, like spend 5 minutes for the first line investigation, and kind of either assign to the right folks or kind of specify the next step. So just for that, they assign it to someone to take the first step, kind of thing. And it's super nice. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes, but usually you have like 2-3 issues. But this way you kind of stay up to date with the new issues that are popping up, and that way the whole the group kind of takes a look at it as well. We kind of see the pattern that's emerging. I really liked it because I've seen, I think we are having the SIG Windows backlog meeting, which is this Thursday, by the way, which is helpful. But I think we often don't get a chance to go over all the issues, so they stay in the backlog for a long time. So I would just wanted to like float that idea if people are interested. I can take that responsibility in keeping the query and running that part of the meeting, like the last 5 minutes of every meeting. We just look at the newer issues, and somebody volunteers, and I say like, oh, this is deep. Do you want to take this one? It doesn't mean you have to resolve it. Just means like you read it, and then you kind of think of whatever is the next step.
I'm very supportive of that. 5 minutes is not a huge investment. If on a day that we're super busy that we can't get to that, then maybe that's the day we don't have it. But we have lots of days that our meetings end at 20 minutes or 25 minutes. So putting that extra investment into something that's gonna move the ball forward is gonna be advantageous.
Okay,
Yep.
sounds good.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Well,
I'd
thanks
also
for-
just
Yeah.
add, I'd like to, if folks want to come on those Thursday meetings too, I think it's been, a small group of us, but everybody's welcome to join us there, and we go a little bit more in depth into some of those issues. So please join us if you want to talk about them in more depth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's a
usually
great idea.
myself, James, Maz, and Mark are there, but maybe some of our new tech leads start showing up to all of those.
Yeah, sure. I'll be there. Is there an invite for that? Is it on the page?
So
there
all
is
of
a reminder on Slack as well. Yeah.
there's a reminder on Slack, but let me go back to sharing my screen here again. So I don't know how many of you all follow the calendar, but there's a calendar with all the Kubernetes communities meetings. So, and like the meeting is here. So if you click on that, you can copy it to your own calendar. So let me post this link to our meeting invite, and that you can do the same thing with the regular SIG Windows meeting as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Or is it
And
right
it's
here?
also on the Google Doc, like the agenda we use for this main meeting. You have the link there as well on the very top.
Yep.
It says SIG Windows biweekly backlog review meeting. So
So
Yeah.
I'll add the link to the calendar. Actually, you know what? I know where to add it. I'll add it in our meeting notes. All right. That's it,
cool.
Matt.
Thank you.
That's it, Matt. Cool. All right,
What is it?
Amber. Oh, I was saying, are you done, Maz, or is there anything else?
Yeah. No, thank you for the support. I'll start next week. We'll see how that goes, and then yep. That's
All right,
it.
cool. Amber, floor is yours.
Cool. Hi everyone. We were just chatting about like the actual updates for privileged containers last week. But today I kind of wanted to bring a little bit of a personal update. I have taken a role outside of Microsoft. So I'll be transitioning off of working on privileged containers from kind of the, Windows containers team standpoint. I've had a great time working on this project, of course, and great time meeting all of you. And working on, privileged containers has been something that's been in the works for quite a while. And I know people have been looking for it for quite a while, and there's so much excitement around it. It really does pain me to leave this kind of project in this point of the process. I'm not leaving, so immediately. So there's some things that I'm wrapping up that I can kind of touch with the KEP and kind of pushing it through to some state in GitHub. But in the course of this, I do also want to introduce Brandon, who is another PM on the kind of Windows containers group, who will be transitioning to kind of take this over and take over kind of working with you guys and making sure that we continue to have support from our team for this particular project and a huge presence here. Of course, there's Muzz and Mark and so many other people who have been, and James and all these folks who have been also incredibly involved. But Brandon will kind of be stepping into things where I've been, situated. So Brandon, if you want to give yourself a quick intro. I don't know if Brandon is here. Yes, Brandon, hello. Okay, I think Brandon may be having some technical issues.
That's okay. Amber, I would like to say, first of all, thank you for all your contributions and kind of helping our community and helping champion Windows, and especially around the privileged containers effort. And it has been a privilege to have you lead that effort. You're gonna get that a lot, I think. So
yeah,
no pun intended there.
That is cool.
But thank you, and best of luck in whatever you do next.
Yeah, thank you guys, and it has also been a privilege on my side to be involved. But yeah, it is an open source community. Who knows? Maybe I'll be in and around at some point someday in the future. If anything, just to see all of your guys' amazing work. But yeah, great. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully, Brandon will get a chance.
Okay,
hello.
Are you able to hear me? Oh, totally sorry about that. My computer died literally as you were introducing me. So I switched computers. But from what I missed, thank you for the introduction, everyone, or Amber. I'm super excited to get involved. And we'll go from there.
Cool.
Yeah, and those of you who don't know Brandon, he's very technical and pretty deep into Windows kernel and Windows containers. So good to have him on board. Of course, like sad to see Amber go, but excited for her future. One quick thing, Amber, do you want to just talk about the KEP estate for privileged containers? I know it needs to get approved.
Yeah. So there is some updates that we might want to. I want to take a pass through it to make sure that all the updates that we've kind of been throwing around with networking and so on and so forth, and like these details are kind of included within kind of my time remaining here. And also, it's kind of in an intermediate state, which like I have no idea what will occur to my GitHub account once I exit. So we do want to get it pushed to some state where Brandon or other folks will be able to like more easily work with it kind of later on. So that's kind of what's on the top of my mind right now. I did try to go through the process to get like some, I guess like the KEP YAML file or one of those YAML files that I think was introduced somewhat more recently included. And so it's kind of in a strange in-between state, and that's what I'm really looking to kind of update. Yeah, in this time.
I can help with that too. The KEP that YAML and getting all that cleaned up and ready to merge.
Yep. And Mark, I'll work with you.
Okay. Sounds good.
Excellent. Well, that's it for today. That's it for the year, folks. We had a tremendous year in Windows. We took a lot of technology to GA this year. Container D, our CSI effort. A lot of those things wouldn't have been possible without all of the effort and work that every one of you is contributing. A lot of you are contributing on your company's dime, but also realize that a lot of our contributors are working on their spare time, nights and weekends outside of their regular job. So we appreciate that. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for your contributions. It's been a great year, and we look forward to 2021. And hopefully, Windows keeps this aggressive momentum that it has had in the Kubernetes community, and we see a great adoption from our customers as well. Thank you. Happy holidays, and we'll see you all the first Tuesday of the new year.
Yep. Thanks, Michael.
Goodbye. See ya.
Everybody,
Bye,
Merry
folks.
Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Everything.
Yep. Enjoy some time off and relax. Hopefully, everybody.
Yep.
Everyone but Perry. Perry, you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great holiday.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.